Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm reviewing Planted from Buffalo Games and Puzzles. Planted is designed by Phil Walker Harding, and it's a 2 to 5 player game that takes roughly 30 minutes or less to play. This is a game that can move pretty quickly with players who understand and know what's happening in this game. The general idea of Planted is you're trying to gather plants and you're trying to feed the plants as much as possible and scoring as many points as possible along the way. The game is going to last 4 rounds, and every single round you're effectively drafting a handful of cards. You're looking at these cards and drafting these cards in order to figure out what resources you're going to have to feed your plants that round. You're going to start the game with a beginner plant, a single plant that from the beginner pool over here. This plant requires 2 sunlight and 1 plant food every single round that it needs to be fed, and you can feed it up to 3 times during the game. The way plants work is, if you look at these over here, is every plant has a number of times it can be fed, anywhere between 1 to 3 times during the course of the game, and there's only 4 rounds in the game, and you can only feed a plant once per round, and you have to feed it from the bottom up. So for example, this purple shamrock over here, you'll have to feed it here, then here, then here, to get those full 14 points from the plant. And so you're trying to tactically plan around what you take, when you take it, and can you actually get enough resources to feed the plant that round to score as many points as possible in Planted. During the course of the game, you're going to be drafting cards. Whenever you draft cards, you're going to start the draft every single one of the 4 rounds by taking 6 cards from the general supplies deck over here. That gives you various food, water, sunlight, thumbs, and stuff like that. Alternatively, you're also drawing 2 cards from the other deck over here that gives you items and decorations. It gives you tools and decorations, which you'll be putting down over here. So you always have a distribution of 6 regular resource cards and 2 special cards that are shuffling around from player to player. Players are going to look at their hand, they're going to pick a card. I'll grab the workbench over here, I'll put it down in my decorations area, and then players are going to pass the hand to the next player, at which point you can gather other cards. So for example, you can gather items that will help you. This item card over here says you gain, it's a spray bottle, I gain a green thumb token for every single water card I play. This is a double water, but if I played a single water card, I would also get a green thumb. And you can gather multiple of the same item, which can really help you start to build up your own unique special advantage in the game, giving you reasons to draft cards that other players are not. Whenever you draft a card, you're either going to take those resources. So for example, if I pick this card over here, I would grab 2 of these delightful little water tokens, putting them on my board, pass my hand to the left. When you gather sun, you're going to go ahead and gather some sun tokens, putting them on your board. And whenever you have these tokens over here and you're gathering thumbs for any reasons, or if you're just taking straight thumb cards, you'll put thumb tokens on your board as well. And so you're going through the process of gathering all these foods, these resources, from round to round in order to spend them on the plants you have by the time you hit the end of the round. Now, at any point, if you want, you can go ahead and take a card, and you can discard that card to not get the resources, but instead gather one of the plant cards from the tableau. So you're going to go ahead and discard a card, and from there you'll go ahead and take one of these plants, adding it to your board. So for example, in my case, I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and add this purple shamrock to my plant board over here, putting out a new plant for others to purchase. And so you're adding plants to your board, you're gathering various resources, and then when the end of the round rolls around, you're going to go ahead and try to feed your plants. So for example, this plant over here can be fed with that, and so at the end of the round, I'll go ahead and take one of these tokens, and I've planted the first area. That'll be worth 3 points at the end of the game. Then I'll go ahead, this plant over here, the purple shamrock, sadly I have the 2 water, but I don't have the resources there, so it won't help me there. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and trade in those waters in order to propagate. Well, propagation over here lets you spend any 2 resources to gain a growth token that'll be worth a point at the end of the game. So extra resources won't necessarily be as helpful as you'd like if they were put onto plants, but they will help you as far as getting extra points for just trading in resources. Thumbs can be spent at a ratio of 2 for 1 to turn into any resource, effectively making them wild, so you can go ahead, well, wild at a 2 for 1 ratio, giving you the opportunity to gather extra thumbs to round out the resources you did or didn't acquire. Players are going to want to be careful because of the fact that you do only have space for 6 plants the entire game, and you want to make sure this plant over here is going to, give you 6 points, but you only feed it once. But you want to try to balance around the fact that taking this plant over here in round 2 is still fine. Taking it in round 3 means you guaranteed will never feed that last spot, and so you're trying to balance around the card you take, around the card you draft, as you pass player to player, and every round you're going to alternate the passing. So to the first and third round you'll pass to the left, second and fourth round you pass to the right, and that's basically the entire game. Every round, you take 8 cards, you take 6 from the basic resources, take 2 from the advanced items, you go ahead and pass those round and around, taking the cards you need, gathering tools and upgrades. The decorations will give you a variety of things, from generally points for different things, points for, for having more tools, for having sets of plants, for having certain types of plants. You can see over here, plants have different icons in them, and having sets of different plants or the same plants will be worth points as well. You're trying to manage that whole drafting aspect, the whole drafting ecosystem of the game, trading in, giving back any extra resources at the end of the round. Any resources you don't use in the round are gone, so you want to try to be mindful of that, and that is basically Planted. Which brings us to the review, starting off with ease of play. This is an easy game to teach, an easy game to play. The entire thing is It's 4 rounds, you're gathering plants, you're drafting cards, you're feeding those plants. The entire thing plays in 20 to 30 minutes, depending on whether you're new to the game, or if you've played this game 2 or 3 times, you can easily be knocking out a 4 or 5 player game of it in 20 minutes. It is fast, it's just draft, pick, feed, draft, pick, feed. The entire thing is very quick, very streamlined, easy to teach, and easy to play. As far as what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, starting off with what I like, which is the game is simple and easy to teach and play, like I mentioned already. It plays in a short time. It's very accessible to different player counts because of the simultaneous play aspect. You know, you can play this all the way up to 5 players, and it goes almost as quickly as playing it at a 2 or 3 player game. There's some slight rules adjustments in play for 2 players to be mindful of, but past that, it functions well at all player counts. It plays very quickly, and it gives you a good amount of choices for the game time that the game is giving you. As a 20-minute game with the simple, quick drafting, this is a solid one that I highly recommend for a good intro to drafting game that gives you the core aspects of what the drafting mechanic is, while you utilize the resource engine, try to figure out how to build up your tableau just a tad. The spray bottles, the tools and the decorations will be building up your tableau as you figure out your own unique advantage, trying to grab a bunch of cards that will effectively make it in your best interest to draft single sun cards or single water cards can really give you an edge over the other players, because you're not trying to vie for those, you know, two resource cards. You're happy with getting the 1 sun instead, because you get 3 thumbs for it every single time, making it a better card than a 2 suns card for you. So you're building up your tableau, you're quickly drafting, you're making good decisions. Overall, it's just very good at what it does for a game that is this quick, this accessible, plays at different player counts, and plays in 20 minutes. As far as what I don't like, there's only one thing, but it is a big deal for me, which is Planted to me has very low variability to the experience. The core game is the same every single time. The core puzzle is the same every single time. The tools, the resources, the decorations you see aren't that variable. This giant stack of cards has a lot of duplicates, meaning there's not a ton of reason to continue diving into this again and again and again. The core engine is the same, and the core gameplay is the same. It's great at what it does. For a 20-minute game, this is very, very solid. It just has low variability to the experience, making it the kind of game that I'm likely to pull out infrequently, or as a solid gateway drafting game that gives you a very quick, very easy to teach and play experience, but not one I'm going to constantly come back to. As far as what I can see others not liking, this is very much a lighter game. Factor that in. There's good choices here. There are good choices here, but it is on the lighter end, and if you're not looking for a lighter experience, then I think this is one that you can pass on. There are good choices, there are rewarding choices, but it's a 20-minute long game, but with low variability and on the lighter end. I think you have to be the target audience for this game to make this one that you want. As far as final thoughts on Planted, for me this one is really, 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 really solid, with being lighter and with having low variability, which puts it in a weird spot for me. The actual engine you have going on here, the actual production of your resources and what you're doing and how quickly the game teaches, plays, and everything makes this very solid. It is a great, great, great gateway game in that sense, and it's one that I very much enjoy, and it's one that definitely is going on the shelf for now, is one that I'll hold on to and try to pull out and table. But the fact of it being low variability and lighter does mean that I'm more compelled with how simple and elegant and accessible this is, and I don't know how often I'll ultimately table this one. For right now, this for me is a 3.5 out of 5. I really like it, but I want it drop more. I feel it's the kind of game that an expansion could really take it up to the next level for me and push it to a 4 or even higher depending on what expansion adds, while also potentially having the adverse effect where an expansion could potentially make this less accessible with how quick, simple, and easy this is a core strength of it. So it's one that falls in that space where I really recommend it for gateway gamers, for someone who's looking for a quick experience. If you're looking for a game that'll play 4 or 5 players in 20 minutes while giving you a good solid reward, this is an excellent filler. I also don't know how often I'll ultimately table it. So a 3.5 out of 5 for me. Large amount of respect for what the game is doing, while wondering just how much I fall into the target audience on this one. As far as other game recommendations, if you're looking for something that is also plant-based and highly accessible and very rewarding, I recommend Verdant from Flat Out Games. A lot of puzzly scoring going on there. Very different in the actual game play mechanics, but plant-themed at the very least. And then secondly, if you're looking for something that has a drop of overlap with this one, a similar feeling while without that many similar mechanics, a Cat Lover or Dog Lover from AEG will give you a similar aspect of gathering various things that you then need to feed and pay for. The actual game is fairly different as far as mechanics go, but it does give me a similar feeling in terms of weight class and general fun puzzly reward of the systems. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.